Hello, boys and girls. So we're in the month of October, and in October we talk about drug and alcohol awareness, and along with that comes making good choices. So today we're going to read the book Making Good Choices by Sally Huss and Developing Healthy Habits. So let's get started. It was a day like any other winter day as Billy walked home from school. But when he rounded the corner, the day changed. There on the steps near an old building was a group of older kids who were all laughing and joking. They were also smoking and drinking. "Here, kid," said one, "take a puff." Another offered him a drink, shoving a glass in his direction. Just as Billy was about to take a sip, a little mouse jumped out from behind a bush. He held up his hand and wagged his finger at Billy. "No, no," he said. "Tell him no." The little mouse was so insistent, Billy did what he was told. "No, thank you," he said, and handed the glass back to the boy. Then the little mouse waved for Billy to follow him. "Come with me," he said. Down the street a ways, the little mouse hopped up on a wall and introduced himself. "I'm Mr. Consequences. I'm here to help you make good choices." "Con? Con?" Billy stuttered. "Consequence," said the little mouse. "It is what happens when you make a choice. Smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, and taking drugs are all bad choices. Bad choices lead to bad results. Let me explain what I mean." Mr. Consequence pointed to a row of houses across the street. All had smoke curling out of their chimneys. "Smoking is for chimneys like these," he said, "not for people." He continued, "Chimneys are made of bricks and stones, and the smoke that passes through them does not harm them. But the walls of your lungs and throat are made of living cells, and smoke can harm them over a period of time." Jumping down from the wall, he added, "Just as smoking can damage your throat and lungs, alcohol can damage other organs of your body, like your heart, your liver and kidneys, and even can affect your brain." They walked a few steps together, but Mr. Consequence didn't want Billy to miss the point. "You need these organs to function well, to keep you healthy and happy. So we need our liver and kidneys, and especially our brain and our heart, to function and do what they're supposed to do the right way. And sometimes if you take drugs or alcohol or smoke cigarettes, this can really hurt the inside of your body." With that, the little mouse pulled out a piece of cheese from his pocket. It was a magical piece of cheese. "Look in here," he said. "This is what can happen to these people who take drugs, alcohol, and smoke cigarettes." He held the cheese up so that Billy could peer into it. What he saw was a group of people who all looked sick and unhappy. When you lose your health, said Mr. Consequence, you lose your happiness too. What about drugs and the people who use them? Billy asked. Drugs are for doctors, explained Mr. Consequence. Sometimes drugs are needed to help a person who is sick or injured get well, but a doctor is the one to decide that. The drugs that kids use on the street are damaging to your health too, especially to your brain. You need your brain to function perfectly so that you can become the best you that you can be. Everyone has the ability to become great at something or even many things. Drugs can get in the way of this, and a person young or old may lose interest in learning and developing their own greatness. Again, Mr. Consequence held up the cheese for Billy. This is what can happen if those kids continue to take drugs. Billy looked into the cheese. There, through a hole in the cheese, Billy saw a bunch of young people all lounging around on a street, doing nothing. They looked lazy and hopeless. They were no longer happy. Oh, no, said Billy sadly. Then why do they do it? Why do kids smoke and drink alcohol and take drugs? Many like to do what everyone else is doing. Most don't know the consequences when they start. It's very simple. If you don't start, you won't have a problem. If you do, you might have a problem. The little mouse handed him the cheese. I'm glad that now you know the consequences, Billy, he said. That's what is important. Your future is bright. Take a look. Once again, Billy peered into the cheese, the magical cheese. There in a hole in that cheese, Billy could see his future, and he was pleased by what he saw. It looks like he's graduating high school or maybe college. Well, I must be off now, Billy, said Mr. Consequence, as he hopped back up on the wall. Remember, everyone has the right to make their own choices, good or bad. I believe you now understand the importance of making good choices. Your happiness depends on it. Thank you, Billy replied and waved goodbye. Mr. Consequence called back, You're welcome, Billy. Don't forget, good choices lead to good results, and bad choices lead to bad results. Billy was happy now that he knew the difference and planned to stay happy and healthy his whole life long. The end, but not the end of making good choices. And that is the end of our book, boys and girls. Thank you for listening.